Hi, this is Sajjad, welcoming you to this video of Nuke Learning. In this video, I am going to give you an introduction about Roto and Rotopaint nodes. The technique of working with these nodes is called Rotoscopy. These nodes are one of the most used nodes in Nuke. Roto node is like a mask in After Effects, and I am going to shed light on the workflow of these nodes from the very beginning to advanced level, using different examples and techniques that everyone from junior comp artist to senior level artist are using. To load these nodes, I can hit Tab and type Roto, and you can see Roto and Rotopaint nodes listed here, or I can use the O key on the keyboard for Roto and the P key for Rotopaint. I am starting with Roto node. When you load Roto node, if the BG input is connected to another node, it will inherit the size of that node. When I double-click on Roto node, I have three tool menu here. These little arrows at the corner of these tool menus show that there are other options inside. The first menu is the Selection Tools collection. If I click and hold, the list of these tools is visible. Tools like Select All, Select Spline, Select Points, and Select Feather Points. You can choose any of them from here, or clicking here will cycle through. This tool menu is a collection of point menu tools containing Add Points, Remove Points, Cusp Points, Smooth Points, Open and Close Curves, and Remove Feather. The last tool menu is the collection of drawing tools such as Bezier Cusp, B-Spline, Ellipse, Rectangle, Rectangle Cusp, and Open Spline. Also, there are some other options available on the top of the viewer. Options related to the current tool appear in a toolbar along the top of the viewer. But the most important one is the Ripple tool, which is very handy and works like selecting all keyframes in one layer to alter them once in After Effects. Also, there is this Properties panel that contains multiple tabs. Each tab has different options, and I am going to explain those that are mostly used during the Roto process. The next node is Rotopaint node. If I double-click to open this node, you can see it is very similar to Roto node. The only difference is having these four tools menu. These three tools menu are the same as Roto. Also, these top bar options are similar. The first tools menu contains brush and eraser tools. Next contains clone and reveal tool. Next contains blur, sharpen, and smear tools, and the last one contains dodge and burn tools. All the tools inside of these four tools menus are the same in Adobe Photoshop, and if you have worked with Photoshop before, you should be familiar with them. The next difference between Roto and Rotopaint node is in the Properties panel of Rotopaint node, which is this stroke panel, which does not exist in Roto node. The rest are quite similar. So let's go to the Roto node and see how we can work with this node. If you want to draw a mask, you have to use one of these tools. I start drawing with Bezier node. Click, 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 and click. If I click and drag, the result will be the curve line. When I am done with drawing, I should click on the first point to close the curve. If I want to create another mask, I should click here again and draw my new mask. To close this curve, instead of clicking on the first node, I can press Enter. This tool is like Pen tool in Adobe After Effects and Photoshop, which helps create mask. Now that I have created these masks, in the Properties panel, I have a list of Beziers inside the root folder. Bezier 1 is this first mask, Bezier 2 is this, and Bezier 3 is this mask. To remove them, I can select and hit delete on the keyboard, or right-click and choose delete, or click on this negative option. When you create a mask, you expect to see something, but it's just a mask. The black viewer means empty, but it is not. As we are in RGB mode, if I switch to alpha, we have this white color inside the mask, which means the mask will keep the data, and outside of the mask, which is in black, means there is no data. This behavior is because in Roto properties in Roto tab, the output by default has been set to alpha. If I set it to RGB and switch back to RGB, you can see the result. I can turn off green from here to see the result, or blue or red. Now you can understand that white color comes from the union of red, green and blue colors. This white color in RGB is different from white color in alpha, so keep it in mind. I can also switch to RGBA to have the output in my 4 channels, and if I cycle through the channels, you can see the results. Let me remove this. The next tool is Cusped Bezier. This tool is like Bezier tool, but if I click and drag, it does not give me curve lines. It only creates cusped lines. So I am clicking and dragging, and no curve is drawing here. If I want to make this point smooth and curved, I can right-click and choose Smooth. The hotkey is Z, so select this point and hit Z will make the point smooth. I can select all the points, hit Z, or I can select multiple points to hit Z. The number of times pressing Z will make the selected points softer and smoother. The next tool is B-Spline. With this tool selected, when you click and drag, this curve that is inside of this cusped area can control the amount of curvature that you need. This tool is not different from the other tool that I introduced. It is just another tool to help other artists who are comfortable working with Mocha software. This way of masking is similar to B-Spline when drawing mask in Mocha. When I am done with my drawing, I hit Enter to close the mask. Then I can manipulate the points the way I like. The next tool is Rectangle. I can draw a perfect rectangle. Similar to this tool is Cusped Rectangle. They both are the same at first look, but if I move this point from this rectangle and move this point here from this rectangle, you can see the difference. The next tool is Ellipse, which helps you create a circle. If I hold Shift while drawing, I can draw perfect circle. If I let go of the Shift key, I can have non-perfect circle, and I can change the shape of circle. Inside this menu, the first is Add Point, so I can click on the mask line, it adds other points. You can imagine what remove points can do. By selecting the tool and clicking on the points, it will remove the point. The next tool is Cusped Point, which turns your point into cusped point. Smooth Point will smooth the point. To explain the next tool, I create a circle, then I choose Open and Close Curve, and click on one side of this circle, and the mask will be open. To delete the mask, I can select them all from here and hit Delete, which I can also delete from here. The next tool is Remove Feather, but to explain it, I need to add feather, so I create a simple mask. If I select this point, you can see this red handle. I can click and drag, and this area will be in feather mode that has gradient from 100% to 0%. If I hold Control and drag these handles, I can move them separately. When I let Control, then they work together. To remove the feather, select the tool and click on this feather point. I am trying to draw a selection area around this point. It does not allow me because this select tool is not active. Click on it and I can draw selection area. Then right-click, and here I have Increase Feather with the hotkey of E. So if I select and hit E one or multiple times, I can increase the feather amount. I can do this for 1 point or multiple points, or hit Ctrl A and hit E multiple times will create the feather. Also, I can click and drag one of these red handles of points to increase in positive or negative amounts. If I select all points and hit Shift E, all the feather amounts will be reset. As if I right-click on any point, you can see the Reset Feather option with the hotkey of Shift E. For de-smoothing a point, I can use the hotkey Shift Z. As you can see, Smooth shortcut is Z and de-smooth is Shift Z. Beside the control we have on the viewer, we have control of the opacity, feather, and feather fall-off on the Properties panel of this node, so I can decrease the opacity from 1, which is 100% down, to lesser amounts. I can increase the feather, which works globally on all the points, and then from this point, I can change the feather only at this point. I can also decrease the feather amount globally in negative amounts. You can increase this amount more than this negative 100 to more numbers. Then we have Feather Fall Off, which controls the gradient of transparency on the points. Control-click on any slider in Nuke will reset it for me.